You know, I think Haiti will survive. Haiti survived a whole lot worse than what's happening now. And I think the resilience of the people is such that they will they will survive. But it's not about survival. It's about, can you build an independent, strong Haiti that stands on its own, that makes its own decisions about its own choices of what the future ought to be like, without the notion that it's some sort of basket case, that it lives in some kind of obscurity and so forth, that it's fallen, when he said falling off, the edge of the earth. He said falling off the edge of the earth, and that's what my plea has been. It's a historical argument. It may not help you much in the present, but it's important that we readjust our attitudes about the world in which we live. We can no longer afford to look at the world as if the whole world is a bunch of basket cases and we're doing okay. I think most of the world kind of looks at us as the basket case, and if we would get out of their way, they could do okay. So if we're going to survive in the 21st century, we got to make some serious attitude adjustments. And if we can turn around American attitudes on Haiti, if we can get people to look at Haitians as people, real people, not like, oh, I know a Haitian, but he's not like the rest of them. That's what they say about black people all the time. You're not like the rest of the Negroes. It's like, what do you mean by that? Like everybody I know has a Haitian friend who's really a good person. He's not like the rest. He's a doctor. He's not like the rest of them. Well, how are the rest of them? Oh, you know what I mean? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? If we can change that attitude, build on their strengths, put resources in their hands, let them decide how they want to reconstitute their country, then we would have done something, worthy of, what we say we are as a country. We can redress some of the damage we've done over the 200 years. We can get back to that beginning again, where you had revolutions at the beginning of the 19th century that could have been beacons for the world. You could have had the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and the San Domingue Revolution. This is how the world ought to come about. This is what the world should be. And if you slice off San Domingue at the beginning of the 19th century, it's going to come back again. So when James writes the Black Jacobins for a second edition in 1963, he adds a chapter on the Cubans. He said, you messed up the first time with San Domingue. Let me tell you, it's back again. Cuban Revolution, 1959. He said, they're not going away. They're not going away. So if you want to deal with people, in a way that they don't have to take up arms against you, where you can live in a world cooperatively, then you acknowledge that first revolution. It might be a good idea to acknowledge the Cubans too, like they're not off the face of the earth either, and then deal as a community rather than as an empire, because that's what this really is all about. Empires are kind of passé now. They don't work. Nobody believes in them. Nobody's like scared of them. So it's kind of it's an old form. It's like your car from like 10 years ago. It looks good but don't run so well. Well, that's empires. Sounds good but doesn't work. So if we're going to live in the 21st century, we got to shift from empire to community, and Haiti is a good place as any to start.
There's a very, very powerful English proverb that goes, if you want to kill a dog, give it a bad name. And this essay, or rather this proverb, has been given a lot of emphasis, and it has been proven right by the West. The West are painting a bad image of countries such as Haiti, so that as Haiti people are fighting one another, they are busy looting or conducting their evil deeds that will profit their pockets. Here is a video I want us to watch, and then I shall give you my thoughts by the end of the video, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. Let's dive in.
The image that Haiti has among most people, and the origins of that image, and why that image is so kind of pervasive and so in opposition to the kind of reality of the history of the importance of Haiti in the modern world. And even the efforts to help Haiti are often couched in the terms of helping some poor, benighted place that desperately can't do anything for itself, and you have to go give them everything, and you can't give it to the government because they don't know how to have a government, and is the money going to be wasted and so forth. And you get the impression that some sort of international basket case that somehow is Haiti's own fault. And the history of Haiti is often overlooked. Major participants were slaveholders, right? Yet they claim to be proclaiming a new liberty, a new freedom, a new kind of beacon for the world to look up to, and that's a pretty good image. Then you have the French Revolution, hard fast on the American Revolution. liberty, equality, fraternity. The French at least had enough sense to abolish slavery, in the French colonies. What do you do when the slaves have a revolution? Right? Who is the beacon for the world? Right? A revolution of slaveholders or a revolution of slaves? Right? How can you be, the pinnacle of world success, the light unto the world, the city on the hill, right? If just a few hundred miles away, right, is an island of slaves who did the same thing and did it better because they abolished slavery, right? They abolished injustice of all sorts. They produced generals and fighters, right, in an army equal to that of Europe. They defeated Napoleon's army. Wellington gets the credit, of course, but by the time what was left in San Domingo, dead in San Domingo, got back to Europe, of course Wellington could beat him. You didn't have any troops left. Napoleon now has got 10, 11, 12-year-olds in the army now. There's nobody left. They're all dead in San Domingo, right? Of course you have to look at that. Well, this cannot have happened. This cannot be. We cannot acknowledge this, right? What do you do if you're going to portray the U.S. as sweeping across the continent? The Waltons, Little House on the Prairie and so forth, Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, right? If in fact you owe a big chunk of western Mississippi to the revolution in San Domingo, right? Louisiana Purchase, right? Why is Napoleon dumping the Louisiana Purchase onto Thomas Jefferson at these bargain rate prices, right? It's because the Haitian Revolution devalued the entirety of French possessions in North America. It's why the British gave up North America to hold on to their West Indian colonies. Despite our images being the most important historical thing in the world, in the 18th century we weren't. We were a small, narrow group, 13 small, tiny colonies, not very well populated, right? That generated not a lot of wealth, right? The wealth in the British Empire, the wealth in the French Empire was in the colonies in the West Indies, right? Jamaica was worth all of North America. That's why the British said, you can have Yorktown, all the rest of this stuff, as long as we can hold on to Jamaica, Trinidad, and Barbados, we can make a living. We can deal with it. You can have the rest of it. Didn't care. Take it, all of it. Napoleon was in an even worse shape, right? The foundation of modern French, economic development was San Domingo. Right? The foundation of it, right? There was more money coming out of Haiti than all the other French colonies combined, right? Flooding back into France, right? Fueling industrialization in France, fueling the French Revolution, fueling the development of France, right? It was more important than the entirety of Canada, the entirety of the entire Louisiana Purchase, the entirety of the Mississippi River Valley. Haiti was more important than all of that, right? And so when Toussaint rose up, and they took on, the French, and they took on the Spanish who came, and they took on the British who tried to come help to put them down, and they took on the Americans who almost thought about it, and Toussaint kind of said, well, you really don't want to come mess with us because, you have slaves up there too, and you don't know how this is going to work out. So the Americans kind of stayed a little bit away from trying to fight in Haiti, right? If they could have, they would have, but they couldn't, right? Once you have a situation where the French Empire lost the economic motor for that empire, Napoleon had no use for the rest of this stuff. He said, cut your losses, see what you can get, right? I need all the money I can. I've got to try to hold on to what I have in Europe. And therefore, he sold the entirety of what's now the Louisiana Purchase to Thomas Jefferson, right? Nobody knew what it was. Right? It wasn't like what we see today. We didn't think like Chicago, St. Louis, Des Moines, Iowa, and so forth, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Nebraska, and so forth. Nobody knew what it was. Jefferson bought it and promptly had to send Lewis and Clark out there to find out what he had just bought. He didn't know what it was. He said, well, we got some land we bought from the French, so go out there and kind of make a map and come back and see what it is. It wasn't that important. It's important to us because we see the U.S. as the center of the universe, and everything that happens here is the center of the world, right? But at the beginning of the 19th century, it wasn't that important. San Domingo was much more important. Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, much more important. Guadeloupe, much more important. So a revolution in San Domingo was fundamentally altered, right, the way this country developed, the way European colonialism developed, European influence in the New World developed. Without San Domingo, the U.S. would not be here. I mean, it's as simple as that. And it happened in our lab just a little bit, more. I don't want to get great detail. This is not a history class. Just to outline of it, to show you the impact that San Domingo had. First of all, in this country, they immediately banned any slaves imported from San Domingo. If you go to the records in New Orleans, in the city hall, and New Orleans was a great slave trading port, they have what they call, it's like a bill of sale. Like you have a license for your car. When you sell your car, you have to say previous owners. Well, on the bills of sales for slaves coming to New Orleans, they had provenance, written onto the thing, not added on, but printed onto the form, cannot have come from San Domingo. It's against the law to sell slaves from San Domingo. It's like selling a car that's a lemon or a car that will cause you trouble, cannot be from San Domingo. And if you try to sneak in slaves from San Domingo and are caught, you can be fined and sent to jail. Right? Why is that? Right? Because San Domingo Negroes were infected with this strange desire for freedom that causes trouble. And we don't want that infection to spread among the Negroes in North America, among the slaves here. So they were banned. Right? But of course, slaveholders could care less about that. Profit is what they were interested in. So of course they smuggled slaves in from San Domingo. Some people brought in slaves from San Domingo before the revolution took full force. It was a 10-year revolution, 1791 to about 1801, 1804. Right? Where is the major slave revolt in this country, in North America? The largest slave revolt in North America, Louisiana, 1811. 3,000 slaves. It's far and away the largest in the history of this country. Right? Why don't you know about that? Because, in fact, there was an embargo on news about it. Right? It was so large, so important, and was put down with such brutality that reporters were not allowed to talk about it. The only records we have are movements of military troops into the lower Mississippi Valley, right, into Plaquemines Parish, into the swamps north of New Orleans. The only evidence we have are people reporting seeing the heads of slaves on pikes for 5 miles going up into the swamps. Right? Massive brutality to put down this revolt. This is far and away the largest revolt on this continent. Far and away the largest slave revolt. We know Nat Turner. Nat Turner had 70 people. We know Denmark Vesey. Again, Vesey was influenced by San Domingo. He wanted to do what Toussaint did. Right? But the largest revolt, clearly influenced not only by the ideas of San Domingo, but by, in fact, people from San Domingo, was 1811 in New Orleans, north of New Orleans. Right? It's a major kind of impact. Right? Who else pays attention to San Domingo? All of the countries, the Bolivarian countries in Latin America. They said, we like the idea of being independent. We like the idea of having a revolt. We're not so sure about arming slaves. Like, we don't want to go quite that far. Right? Simon Bolivar knew Toussaint Louverture, went to San Domingo, talked to Toussaint, and said, this is pretty good. How do you do this? We want to deal with the Spanish the same way. He didn't tell him he wasn't too anxious to free all the slaves in the Spanish colonies. But from that period on, 1808, 1826, revolts all across Latin America, right? Republics, independent republics being established. Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and so forth, Bolivia. Based on, following the model of Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution, right? That dictates the way the U.S. can then react to, right, all of Latin America, right? So if you're sitting here as an independent United States, right, and you look down south of the United States and you see revolutions springing up all over the place, right? And you know the power of those revolutions. You know the impact of those revolutions. You know the economic interests involved in those revolutions. You have to figure out a way, how do I contain this? How do I get along with these things? How do I maintain U.S. sovereignty, right? Suppose the French want to come back. Suppose the Spanish want to come back and take their colonies back, right? What do we do about this? Well, you have the Monroe Doctrine. We'll say, we'll solve this problem. We will recognize independent Latin American countries, not Haiti. Haiti doesn't get recognized, not to the Civil War. If you think Cuba was the first time something as dumb as this has happened, no, Haiti was the first. If you don't like the revolution, make like it didn't happen. Right? Haiti did not get recognized until the Civil War. 50 years. Now, Haiti knew they were independent. The whole world knew they were independent. The United States didn't know they were independent. So no, there's no country down there. We don't want to deal with it. The Civil War, they found 1862. They finally admitted that, in fact, Haiti was an independent country. It took them 50 years to figure that out. You know, finally, you know, it's going to take, what, another 10 years? Cuba's got another 10 years to go. They'll finally acknowledge that Cuba's had a revolution as a country too, you know, that it's not something that slid off the face of the earth.
So, you know, many times when we think of the Caribbean, many countries that comes into our mind are countries like Jamaica, we have Cuba, we have Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, even though Puerto Rico is not in the Caribbean, it's in the Central America. But when we say Caribbean, we think of Jamaica. Not so many times will someone think of Haiti, and over the years, Haiti has been painted a very bad image by the West. We know very well the history of Haiti is not the best ever told, and especially the Western media is the one which is trying to really taint a bad image of Haiti to the rest of the world. Yeah, Haiti is a black nation found in the Caribbean, and the country has suffered a long political instability. We've had civil wars in the country. We've had natural disasters in the country. Even my own country, Kenya, took their own soldiers, police in the name of soldiers, to go and bring peace. I wonder if Kenyans can bring peace where US and those other world superpowers would not bring peace, which makes me wonder a lot. Why would the West use people of the same ancestry to go and fight one another? I think this is a strategy of divide and conquer. Yeah, Haiti has a very beautiful history, and that is what I want us to discuss today. Next time you think of Haiti, I want you to think of a calm black country that was served by the French. Later on, it was colonized by the British, and later on, it was colonized by the United States of America. The US has colonized it not so long ago until when it found its independence. Yeah. And by the end of this video, we shall have a deep critical analysis where we shall understand the issues affecting the country of Haiti. Let's dive in.
Right. The Monroe Doctrine, the purpose of the Monroe Doctrine was to say, look, if you don't come back into the Western Hemisphere, we will police the Western Hemisphere for you. We'll take responsibility. That's the Monroe Doctrine. Any European attempts to come back and reestablish colonies in the Western Hemisphere will be greeted by the U.S. as an act of aggression. You know, this is a bluff, of course. The U.S. had no army to fight anybody. You know, and the European said, if you want to look after them, fine. That's how the U.S. becomes involved in Haiti. That's how the U.S. takes over and dominates Latin American countries for the last, couple of hundred years. Right? Once you put the other European powers out, right, you have no French troops coming back. You have no Spanish troops coming back. Right? You don't have any British troops coming back to reestablish colonies in the West Indies, Haiti, Jamaica, and so forth. Once they leave, they don't come back. The U.S. makes itself the kind of policeman of the Western Hemisphere. Right? And that is why, in fact, you have these invasions over and over and over and over and over again involved in Haiti. And they're consistent and they're continual for the past 200 years. Haiti did not become a mess because Haitians don't know what they're doing. Haiti became a mess because, in fact, European imperialist powers made it a mess and kept it a mess. Right? It's the only independent country, the only slave revolt where the slaves had to pay reparations to the slave masters. Right? In order for Haiti to be recognized for France, and Haiti, like any country, had to have commerce. They had to be able to trade. They had to sign treaties. Nobody would deal with them. The U.S. did for the first few years, then Thomas Jefferson shut that down. Right? The rest of Europe wouldn't deal with them. Haiti was being strangled economically. Right? And the French said, look, we would recognize you if you pay us, for the losses we had because of the San Domingo revolt. If you say, what are you talking about? You had us as slaves, we freed ourselves, and you want the money of what our value was? The French says, yes, $21 million. I mean, think of the nerve of that. Right? You enslave a population, they free themselves, and you demand compensation for lost property. Right? This is insane. This insanity was shared upon and agreed upon by all the European powers, including the United States. Right? In order for Haiti to sign treaties, to get loans, to be able to begin to attempt to develop itself economically, they had to admit and take on a debt of $21 million. Right? They had to agree to pay this off over a 10-year period. Where are they supposed to get the money from? Right? Where are they going to generate, on an island, that has smashed the sugar economy and is trying to sort its way out again, with people who had been slaves who don't want to work plantations anymore? How do you generate that kind of wealth in order to only, you pay off the loan, the debt, and then have enough money to build an infrastructure of some sort? You can't do it. You can't do it. So what do? Like any other government, they borrow. Right? And then you can't pay off the loan. Here come the U.S. Marines. Why are you there? They don't pay their debts. They owe a German bank. The Germans not going to send troops. We'll go in and take over Haiti. We'll take the money out of the treasury and send it back to the European banks that they borrowed it from. And then you turn around and say, how come they don't have any roads in Haiti? How come they don't have any hospitals in Haiti? How come they don't have any schools in Haiti? Right? The money is sitting in banks in Europe. Haitians' money. Right? They have yet to come out from under that initial $21 million debt. It warped the Haitian economy from the middle of the 19th century down to the present. And it's been the rationale for American invasions of Haiti over and over and over again. And there's always some foreign loan, some default on a debt. Now, if you tell this story, right, if this is known, then the uniqueness of the American Revolution, the importance of the American Revolution, right, is greatly diminished. So the whole point about Haiti is Haiti cannot be a success at any level, cannot be. Even if it was, you wouldn't tell anybody, right? So Toussaint Louverture disappears, from the history books in the 20th century, white history books. He's in the books that black people write. He was in the books I read in black schools. He's in Carter G. Woodson. Du Bois has him in Suppression of the African Slave Trade. Black people know about Toussaint. It's that he is wiped out. His genius, his strength, the importance of San Domingo is wiped out of what white Americans are taught. So all you know about Haiti is that the place is falling apart. They can't do anything. They always seem to be broke. The people don't seem to know how to have a decent government. Right? But if you go back and look at Toussaint in the 19th century, all across the world, that was not the image of Haiti. Right? The Haitian Revolution had a tremendous impact in Germany. Like, why the Germans? Well, the Germans kept an eye on a lot of things. Right? There were plays, by German playwrights and poets. There were poems about San Domingo. There were plays about San Domingo. Hegel understood San Domingo. That whole section of the phenomenology of mind, the master-slave dialectic, is based on San Domingo. It was the purest example that Hegel could find, right, of a population that had been denied personhood becoming people through struggle to make themselves seen as human beings, risking their lives doing that and succeeding. So at the foundations of one of the most important works in Western philosophy is the San Domingo experience. Right? If you were a general anywhere in Europe and you studied battle tactics, you studied Toussaint Louverture. He was widely acknowledged to be one of the finest military minds the country had ever seen, the world had ever seen. Everybody knew that in the 19th century. In this country, when abolitionists talked, white abolitionists, they talked over and over and over again using San Domingo as an example that black people could govern themselves, could free themselves. Wendell Phillips gave an amazing speech in 1860 where he compares Toussaint to all the great figures in European history, starting off by saying, I know I'm talking about an African. I says, we white people, we know we're the best. We Anglo-Saxons, we know we're the best. So don't get confused. He says, now, he's not one of us. But let's compare him coming from the low status that he came from with what we have done, who our best people are, and see how he comes out. And he ends up comparing Toussaint, to Cromwell, to Napoleon, to George Washington. Says if you put them all down there, Toussaint stands above all of them. He says Cromwell was a religious bigot, slaughtered the Irish. You can't look up to that. Washington was a slaveholder. Napoleon was a dictator. Who abolished slavery? Right? Who abolished religious bigotry? In the Constitution of the new San Domingo state, right? Toussaint. Right? He says, no. Who defeated armies from all these other places? Toussaint. He says, so if you look objectively at the achievements of San Domingo in the 19th century in Toussaint Louverture, you have no reason to doubt that this is not one of the most amazing achievements in world history. Right? So in the 19th century, people knew that. You know, if you lived in Boston, New York, Chicago, and certainly if you lived, you know, in the South, you knew that, right? Because you lived in deadly fear of Negroes from San Domingo, right? San Domingo haunts Southern slaveholders, you know, and it's not an old haunt. If you go read William Faulkner in the 20th century, right? Absalom, Absalom. Who is Faulkner spasming about? You know, that novel where he can't even get a period in because he's so wound up? Sutpen's Negroes, right? San Domingo Negroes, speaking all funny out there with their shirts off, sweating out there. Faulkner's so fired up about him, he cannot get a period for about 10 pages straight. He just writes on and on and on and on and on and on, because they have scared him to death. This is the 20th century, he's worried about San Domingo Negro. Right? That's the impact of Haiti in a world outside of the ideological world that we've been trained to look at Haiti in. You know? And the worst kind of damage done to Haiti was the occupation in the 20th century, from 1915 to 1934. You know, you go into a country, bring American racist patterns to it, you know, destroy indigenous institutions, brutalize the people, lay waste to the economy, and then walk away and say, why is this place a mess? I mean, why is it a mess? You made it a mess. You know, they can't govern themselves. You destroyed the government. They can't think for themselves. You shot them when they tried to think. You drove the intellectuals out of Haiti. You suppressed their right to think, you know. And if that story is the story, then in fact, we're not doing Haiti a favor, right? We owe them, right? We owe them. You know, this is not altruism, right? This is a debt that they paid time and time and time again. You know, these are not poor, benighted, backwards people, you know. And you're not going to help them by sending missionary after missionary after missionary to do something and then walk away and leave them. It doesn't work that way. You know, people say they don't have any hospitals. Build one. Don't go and, you know, heal somebody and then leave. Train nurses, train doctors, build an infrastructure so that the hospitals will be there. Now, it takes time. It's not going to do this overnight. But if you don't build an infrastructure, 20 years from now, you're going to have to do the same thing over again, and the same analysis will be there. They can't do it for themselves. You know, there's nothing wrong with the Haitian people. You know, they're very proud people, and if you know anything about West Indian politics, they're very difficult people. You know, I mean, my wife's people are from Grenada, and they were the two things they were, you know, happy about when they didn't like me not being a West Indian, but they were quite pleased that I wasn't a Jamaican, and two, I wasn't a Haitian. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what they were so upset about. Well, I got the thing on the Jamaicans. Jamaicans were just loud and they smoked marijuana all the time. And they listened to reggae music. And Haitians just thought they were all that, you know, and they did. You know, and you meet Haitians, they are, because they said, look, we defeated slavery. Nobody else did that. You know, we beat the Europeans. Nobody else did that. You know, that's what annoys people about them. They know what they did. They know what they did, you know, and they stand on that, you know. And if you give them the resources necessary, not because, you know, it's some sort of, again, altruism or kind of goodwill thing, that they deserve, they can run themselves, you know. Now, historically, African Americans have always known that, you know. The world I came out of, the world of black Americans, the minute after San Domingo became independent, black people in this country looked at that as something that was about us, right? John Theodore Holly, an African-American abolitionist, went straight down to Haiti and looked around and said, we ought to go down here when we get free and help the Haitians. We'll send African-Americans, you know, to live in Haiti. He went to live in Haiti. You know, he wrote article after article after article, said, look, when you get free, let's come to Haiti. Right? He became the head of a church in Haiti. Right? He said, this is a place we ought to go. He tried to get everybody to, you know, immigrate to Haiti. He said, this is a wonderful place. It's free. It's independent. We can help them. They can help us. Right? Throughout the 19th century, over and over and over again, black Americans looked at Haiti as something you had to protect because the denigration of Haiti was a denigration of us. Right? If you say Haitians can't rule themselves, what are you saying about me? You know, if you say Haitians are backwards and superstitious, what are you saying about me? You know, one of the leading ambassadors to Haiti, one of the first ambassadors to Haiti in the 19th century was Frederick Douglass. Right? Douglas made speech after speech after speech on the importance of San Domingo. Right? When they opened up at the World's Fair in 1893, right, the Haitian Pavilion, right, the feeling was, well, the Haitians were too dumb to have anybody from Haiti say anything, so get a black American, because they're a little bit smarter because they're up here with a lot of white people. So Frederick Douglass gave a 4-hour speech on the importance of San Domingo. I don't think they wanted him to talk that long. But Douglass said, you want me to talk about Haiti? Let me tell you about Haiti. He goes through the whole history of the colony. He goes through the Haitian Revolution. He goes through Toussaint, Christophe, Dessalines, Pétion, Boyer. You know, he goes through what the U.S. did to Haiti, what the French did to Haiti. You know, and 1893 he says, we owe Haiti, just 1893. You know, he says this pavilion is just an example of what Haiti could be if the U.S. took Haiti seriously, you know, and black people seriously, right? When Haiti was occupied, the NAACP sent people down immediately. James Weldon Johnson, you know, leading black, you know, poet, writer, you know, author, went down to Haiti to do a special report. He was invited by Haitian intellectuals, you know, African-American intellectuals, right? Rayford Logan, who was a black historian at Harvard, you know, wanted to write his dissertation on Haiti, and they said, well, you'll never get out of Harvard doing that. You know, he wanted to bring it all the way down to the contemporary occupation. They said, well, cut it off in the 19th century, maybe you'll get a degree out of it. So he writes about U.S. diplomatic relations with Haiti and cuts it off in 1891 so he could get a degree. Because if he brought it any closer to home, then it's not likely the Harvard faculty would have been happy with it. You know, he cut it short just before, you know, before the occupation and so forth. So African Americans are tied to Haiti. We're organically related to Haiti. You know, the campus I grew up on, Howard University in Washington, D.C., I took French classes with Haitian professors. Right? That's who taught me French. Well, I didn't learn it very well, but it wasn't their fault. But they, you know, Pierre Noel, he's from Haiti. You know, you had people in the art department from Haiti. You had people in political science from Haiti. You know, this is not some place on another moon. It did not slide off the face of the earth. You know, it's not obscure. You know, it's obscure only in the minds of people that don't want to see what it is and look at it for what it is. You know, there's great scholarship on Haiti. You know, 1938, C.L.R. James, a great Trinidadian intellectual, wrote a book called The Black Jacobins. Right? He got that title from Thomas Jefferson. It's Jefferson that called them Jacobins. And people said, well, why did James call them Jacobins? No, Thomas Jefferson called them Jacobins. Jefferson looked down there and said, they're crazy as the French. These are a bunch of black Jacobins. Said, yeah, off with his head, yeah. You know, that's why Jefferson said, we're not recognizing that. No, we ducked that in France. We're not doing that here. He's the one that called them Jacobins. C.L.R. James just used that term and did a wonderful analysis, 1938, of how important San Domingo was to the development of American capitalism and French capitalism and what we call modernity, you know, and the way the world is that we live. Right? There's scholarship on that. You know, there are a lot of people that know a lot about Haiti. You know, it's not an obscure place. It's only obscure if you only think everything happens in a tiny little kind of spectrum. You know, if you believe the ideology that people say about Haiti. You know, when I went on one program, I had an opportunity to look at a U.S. military training manual for Haiti. The thing was, peacekeeping in Haiti, is it possible? The opening paragraph was that Haiti used to be a wonderful country back in the 18th century where they had wonderful French architecture, they had warm tropical breezes, and then these Negroes messed it all up by being violent. He's talking about the revolution. He's talking about slavery. Slavery is not even in the word slavery is not mentioned. But all of a sudden they got violent, and Haiti's been downhill ever since. And he categorized Haiti as the only country you can categorize as being filthy, diseased, and ignorant. That's not a scientific analysis or anything. This is an American U.S. Army training manual. You know, this is what occupying U.S. troops read when they parachuted into Haiti to either put in the government or take out the government. Like, that's their view. That's the view they want you to have in your head. You know, that you're dropping into some place that's diseased and ignorant, corrupt. You know, and it used to be nice and warm, you know, sunny breezes and French architecture before these crazy violent Negroes rose up and decided to free themselves. You know, so if you're gonna help Haiti, and people do help Haiti. I think the outpouring has been actually kind of surprising to me. But, it's an opportunity we have for the first time, I think, in the history of the modern kind of, well, to build the country up from the bottom again the right way. You know, you very seldom get that kind of chance. You know, and it's horrible. People have to lose their lives for this chance to come about, but we have it. You know, and so if you're going to argue for aid to Haiti and argue for what needs to be done in Haiti, you have to say, what do the Haitian people want? What are the resources, right, that should be put at their disposal, right, so that as they build Haiti again, they can build buildings that don't fall down. It's very simple, steel reinforced concrete. This is nothing complicated. You say, they had an earthquake in Chile and the buildings didn't fall down. Steel reinforced concrete. You know, steel reinforced concrete, the building shakes, it doesn't fall down. I mean, come on, if the people don't have enough money to have steel reinforced concrete buildings, the buildings fall down. This is not brain surgery. Haitians know how to build buildings. They don't have the money to do it. Right? Simple things, you know. You got all those big military carriers, you know, they got a hospital ship, leave it behind. Why bring it back? Donate it. They can use it as a hospital until they build a hospital, more hospitals. You know, all that stuff, leave it. Just leave all of it. You know, leave all the resources. Let the Haitian people figure out for themselves. How are you going to help people if you say the government is stupid and you have to go around the government to give it to the people? How would we feel if somebody said that? You know, we can't give money to the American government. We're going to give money to, you know, Alaska, Hawaii, or somewhere, you know, Illinois, or maybe the city of Chicago, because we know they can run that city, but the rest of the place is all messed up. You'd be deeply insulted by that, you know. But why do we just openly talk about that, as if this makes sense? You know, we can't help this country because they don't know how to put together a government, you know. That'd make a better sense, you know, and that's what the argument is. You know, it's a historical argument. That's what I'm concerned about.
You know, if there are countries which have really tried to make an example of how nations can come together and then just get completely ruined by the interest of very selfish African leaders, or rather black leaders in this case, is Haiti. Haiti is a country which is blessed with natural resources. It's a very good agricultural country which can produce good agricultural produce that can really help the people of that nation. But right now, look what's happening around. The country itself is torn into pieces. People are scattered here and there. You understand? News are spreading, Haiti this, Haiti that, but a few know of this history of Haiti. So much few people know about this, which brings the question, as a black person, would you rather leave your country to go and support the black people in Haiti, or would you rather take what's yours, your money, your hard-earned dollars, your hard-earned Kenya shillings, Uganda shillings, Tanzania shillings, whichever money you have, and go to Dubai and spend it on the tourism and all that? Sometimes I believe utilitarianism is a good act. Utilitarianism is an act that do good for the greater, do an action for the greater good. Doing an action here for the greater good is the people of Haiti. They really need your support. They really need your energy. And that's why sometimes if I try and look at it from the perspective of an African who is suffering, or an African who was once in a position that needs support, I come back and I ask and I say, ideally, if there was a program that black people would be helped all around the world by you can just give as little as $1, even per month, just $1 per month, that one would change the nation of Haiti so much. Because this country has a very rich history. It's one of the countries in the Caribbean to attain its independence. The people of Haiti, the people of Jamaica, the people of Dominican Republic, the islands around this place, Trinidad and Tobago, these people are the same people who were gotten all the way from Ghana during the transatlantic slave trade. And so all this which is happening around us is something, when we get an opportunity to help, I think we should just work on it, because if you really want to do something, you'll always find time for that. That is the principle that has always been the principle of help and all that. I hope this video was able to help you understand some of the difficulties, some of the challenges that are really not shown on the ground because of the Western media. You are able to understand that even the Western media itself is corrupted. They are giving the narrative of we should give this narrative in order for us to paint a bad image, in order for us to have a control. Like the old English saying goes, if you want to kill a dog, give it a bad name. That is what the West is doing effortfully. Day and night, they're not sleeping. They're working hard so that they ensure there is instability, so that they ensure they can be able to pull out all of those resources from poor countries such as Haiti, and from countries, poor but rich countries like Haiti, and poor but rich countries like Congo. As long as there is instability, we shall break in. Unity is strength and separation is weakness. That's all I have for today. If you enjoy my work, kindly subscribe to the channel. I would so much appreciate for your efforts. See you in the next one, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. See you in the next one.